Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm WoWcrendor, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the basics of Blood Bowl. I have Blood Bowl in 3 minutes, which is more of a quick look at the basics, but I wanted to go a little more in-depth because there's a lot of players in our current Speed Bowl League, as well as fans and viewers watching that don't really understand the game, and I think it'd be nice to just have a very clear, easy to access guide to Blood Bowl. So without further ado, here's the list of things we're going to be going over. You can click on the thing you want to see if you already know about some of the other ones in the annotations. I'm going to put a little key so you can click throughout the video to whatever you want to watch, if you want to skip something, etc. Okay? Okay. Alright, so before the game starts, this is just an exhibition game, so not what would happen if you're in a tournament, but I'm just going to be showing some inducements. So we have, let's say we'll just pick this team with a low team value of 1,300 compared to their 2,000 team value because they have a lot of leveled up players with high skill sets, etc. We launch this game. First thing it's going to say is, hey, you can transfer money from your team's treasury into petty cash. With petty cash, you can purchase inducements. You pretty much never want to do this because this is taking money away from buying players, buying rerolls, buying an apothecary, buying new players. Did I already say that? Yeah. But you never want to take money out of your treasury. You just want to use the money it gives you when you click no. So see, it gave me 700,000 gold because I am 700 points behind this guy in team value. So never bring in money from your treasury because you can use that money for better things down the road. So what can you buy with this? You can buy star players. So each team gets certain star players they can get. So the Orcs get Ripper the Troll. They get Varag Ghoul Chewer. He costs 290 and it shows their skills right over here. Morgan Thorg, Scrappa Sorehead, and Bomber Dribble Snot. So you can spend your money on those guys. I don't know, sure. Oh, I didn't buy them, I just clicked confirm. You can buy a wizard, which will give you a wizard you can use once per game, I believe is what it is. Not per half, it's just per game. And you click on the little wizard icon in the list of icons over on the right, and after every turn it'll give you the option to use that wizard. So you click it, and then you can do a fireball or a lightning bolt and cast that on the enemy players, and they'll get injured, they'll drop the ball. So wizards are very powerful, which is why they cost 150,000, so we'll buy one. Wandering apothecaries are nice because it gives you more apothecaries, which if your player gets injured, an apothecary allows you to re-roll that injury roll and then choose which injury you want. So maybe you break your back and then you re-roll it and you get death. Obviously you're going to choose breaking your back over death, but maybe you get death and then you get badly hurt, which no long-term effects. So you'd pick the one that's more beneficial to you. That's what apothecaries do, and wandering apothecaries just add on to your original apothecary. Foul play, you can get bribes so your guys don't get ejected, pretty much. You can bribe players, but this is for a different game mode. Don't have to worry about it. You can just get bribes if you want. Extra team training, that allows you to get more rerolls. So maybe you want an extra reroll. Say, hey, why not? I'll buy an extra reroll. Bloodwiser Babes help you on Kickoff Events. The Halfling Master Chef, this is what Dodger's going to be using. She can get one for 100,000 gold. Normally, you have to pay 300,000 gold for it because that's how good it is. You roll 3 d6s at the start of the half, and if you roll a 4+ on any of those d6s, you get to steal one of the other team's rerolls. So say the other team has 3 rerolls and you roll a 4+ on each one of the d6s you rolled, you steal all their rerolls and give them to yourself. That's how good the Halfling Master Chef is. That's really, really good because rerolls are extremely important in this game. Because say you throw a block and that block is bad. Guess what? Unless you don't have a reroll, your turn's over and the other team gets to go. So rerolls are do-overs, pretty much. And in a game determined by a lot of dice rolling, you want a lot of do-overs, and that's why they're so important. And then potions are not for the version of the game we play. So that's what inducements do. So they allow you to get a lot of bonuses if you're not as high valued as your opponent. And that's inducements. Alright, so first off, we got the kickoff. And you can either get the ball or you can kick the ball. And apparently the team that I'm playing, the elf team, has chosen to receive the ball, which means I get to organize my players first. What does that mean? That means I get to position them before I kick the ball off. So you need at least 3 people on the line of scrimmage. You can have more. You can have 2 players on outside these lines. So if I try to put 3 here, it won't work. You need 2. You can have nobody outside the lines, but you can only have a max of 2 outside the lines. And so that's really it. You can only have 2 players on each side out here, and you have to have at least a minimum of 3 on the line. But you can have more. So I'm going to put more here because I'm going to get all bashy. Usually the guy farthest away is going to be your kicker. And I'm going to put a runner here because why not? I'll put these guys up here. And sure. So I position my guys like this, and then he can react to this. He can load up his line, but either way he has to keep these 3 guys on the line because you need a minimum of 3 on the line of scrimmage. Let's go over kicking the ball. What happens when you kick the ball is your player furthest back usually, and in the middle will be your kicker, and you pick where you want to put the ball. Let's turn on the grid. And when I kick the ball, it's going to scatter. So 2 dice get rolled. One determines the direction. One determines how many spots the ball moves in that direction. So if, let's say I kick it right in the middle of the field. And there we go. Now, kickoff events, we'll talk about in a minute. But look at, this is where the ball's going to land. See, so I kicked it over here, and it's scattered all the way over there. Now, why'd that happen? The D8 determines which direction the ball is going to move, and the D6 is the distance. So I don't actually know what the numbers for the direction mean, but obviously 5 means this way. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's why you generally just want to kick the ball in the middle, and it'll go random places. But if you have a player with the kick skill, that will reduce the amount of direction it scatters, so you can have better placement of your kicks. Maybe you just want to kick it here, close to the line. All just depends, and that's really how kicking works. So next, we're going to take a look at kickoff events. What are kickoff events? They are a various amount of things that can happen when the ball is kicked off. So here is a high kick, which means the other team is going to be able to position one of their players under the ball, which is very good for them. Some of the other ones, I'll put up the chart right now so you can pause it and take a look if you really want to, are the referee gets taken out, there's a riot and everyone fights and possibly gets knocked down or injured. There's the defense gets to move before the ball is kicked. There's rocks thrown on the field. There's the weather changes. There's just a whole bunch of things. This is all determined by 2 D6s being rolled and added together, and as you can see on the chart, each one's numbered. So that's what kickoff events are, and it adds a little bit of a different element to the game. So the first things you want to do, this is always the, I think, most difficult thing for newer players to learn, because you just receive this ball and you're like, what do I want to do? I want to go pick it up. I want to run down the field. I want to tackle some people, right? What do you want to do? So you always want to do the least risky plays first. So I move this guy right by the ball. I'm also going to move this skink down here so that if I attempt to pick this ball up and he fails, maybe it'll bounce to one of them and I don't turn the ball over. If anything goes wrong, you will turn the ball over. That's how this game works. So as you can see here, I can make some blocks on some players. That's a very bad thing. You never want to do double red dice. I can move my guys around. So I'm going to not pick the ball up, but I'm going to make some good blocks here. I'm going to do a 2-die white block. I get a double defender down. We'll go over blocking in a little bit. I'm going to make some nice blocks here. Get a push. I'll just shove him out of the way. We got a Croxagore. We got the same, and he's got block and guards. We're going to do him instead. block is a good skill. We'll go over that later as well. Crocsgore up. Now, I'm going to start making some plays, so if I pick up this ball, I'm going to have some defense, so I don't just get bashed. And I can also do a blitz. So, this is a 2-die white block blitz, so I'm going to do this. In my advantage, I'll take the defender pushed, and there we go. I'm going to move this guy up here. I'm just going to try to tie some of these guys up and move him around. And so now we can try to pick the ball up. So let's go try to pick the ball up here. And I got a 3 and require a 4. So do I want to reroll? And that's the importance of rerolls, is if you get a bad roll, you can re-roll it. And now he picked it up. So awesome. And I'm going to run up a little bit with him. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to move him down here to protect him from the left side. And we can end the turn. And that's, as you can see, I made a lot of very low risk plays there. I didn't do any 1-die blocks, or I didn't do any 2-die red blocks. I tried to position my players first. I did a blitz that was in my favor, and I just tied some of these players up. So, and I waited to pick up the ball last because I knew there was a chance of him not picking up. And it's right. If I didn't have a reroll, if I would have had to waste it somewhere else, say I made a 1-die white block and it was an attacker down, and I'd use that reroll, he wouldn't have had the option to do the reroll. He would have had to fail picking it up, and it'd be a turnover. So always do the least risky things first, starting with getting your players up that you want to get up, because you can always pick up your players unless they're sunned. Okay? Okay. Now we're going to go over one of the most important things in the game, which is blocking. Blocking is whenever you are next to someone and you want to hit them, essentially. You want to block them. So right here, I can do a 1-die white block. I can do a 2-die red block, which is horrible. I can move this guy because he's not next to anyone. My skink can do a 1-die white block on this catcher, and it's all based off your strength. If you have even strength with your opponent, so my skink has 2 strength, this catcher has 2 strength, so they have an even battle, so he has a 1-die white block, which means you roll 1 block dice. And the block dice, you can either get attacker down, which means you fall down and your turn's over. You can get defender push, so I push him in one of these adjacent squares. I can get defender down, which knocks him down. And we can get both down, where we both fall down and the turn's over. But at least you knocked him down. And then I believe, then there's defender stumbles. That's the other one. And that means if you get defender stumbles and you push him over here, he's going to fall down unless he has dodge. So defender stumbles is negated by dodge. Remember that. So this is a 1-die white block. I can fight him head on, or I can bring help. So for every assisting player, you get +1 strength. So now I have 3 strength, so it's going to give me the 2-die white block because I have more strength than he does. And if you have less strength than your opponent, then you get 2-die red blocks, which you never want to do. Never do 2-die red blocks. It means your opponent picks the outcome. So see, I did a 2-die white block. I got 2 results, a defender stumbles and an attacker down. Had this been a 2-die red block, the opponent gets to pick, and he could pick attacker down and my turn's over. So that is why 2-die red blocks are horrible. 1-die, say it was a 1-die and all I got was attacker down. Again, horrible. But now I got an option with these 2-die white blocks. That's why you always want 2-die white blocks. And he has dodge, so this is just going to push him. But you know what? He's not next to me anymore. And let's do some more blocking. So alright, let's give you an example. 1-die white block, right? So I get a push. So I only get 1 option. That's why 1-die white blocks are things you don't want to do until you get all your 2-die white blocks out of the way. So always remember that. Do your safe moves first. So moving your players around, getting your players up. Then you want to do all your 2-die white blocks. So I have a blitz I can do on this guy. I'm going to do that. I get a both down, but we both have block, which it negates both downs. So much like how dodge negates defender stumbles, block negates both downs. So dodge and block are 2 very good skills because of that. So watch. See, they both use their block, and nothing happens. And maybe I can go tie this guy up. And I can do a 2-die block over here. Let's see what happens. We get a defender down. Nice. And bam. We knock him down. Alright, so now we're going to go over some dodging rules, and this confuses a lot of players. Tackle zones. This guy, take this lineman, he has tackle zones all around him. Every player has tackle zones around them, because if you're next to them, they can tackle you when you try to get away. That's why they're called tackle zones. So this lineman is in this human lineman's tackle zone, as well as this other human lineman's tackle zone. And if he wants to get away, he's got to make a dodge roll. So let's try to dodge away with him. And he did. So he had a 4+, he needed a 4+, and he got a 5 plus 1, and it gave him a 6, which is higher than a 4+. The reason it gave him +1 is because every time you make a dodge roll, it gives you an automatic dodge modifier. So you get +1, which is quite nice. And let's see. Let's show you this goblin up here. He has 3 agility as well. So to get away, there you go. He rolled a 3. +1 from the dodge is 4. He needed a 4+ because he has 3 agility, and now he's good. If you have 3 agility, you need 4+. If you have 4 agility, you only need 2+. And if you have 5 agility, yeah, I guess you just like automatically dodge. Unless you're dodging into tackle zones, however. Now we're going to go over a little bit more in-depth dodging, which is the minus tackle zone modifier. So if you dodge out of a tackle zone, you're fine. But if you dodge into tackle zones, you are not going to have a fun time. So let's dodge up here first. Right, so I get my +1 modifier for my dodge roll. 4 + 1, so that's a 5. I get, no tackle zone negatives. But now that I'm in tackle zones and I'm dodging into more tackle zones, we're going to start getting some tackle zone negative modifiers. Let's keep dodging here. Now, I got a 3 and require a 4. Why'd that happen? I am dodging into tackle zones. So I rolled a 4, got +1, so that's 5, right? Should be good, but -2 for tackle zones because I'm dodging from a tackle zone into another tackle zone. And because there's 2 players in this square guarding this tackle zone, I get a -2 from that roll. So I need a 4 so that I'm going to get a 6 total, and then the -2 will be, doesn't matter. And I get it. I roll a 5, so that's 6, -2, it's a 4, 4. Now, if I do it one more time, there's 1, 2, 3 players I'm dodging into. So, as you can see, -3, and you're screwed. That's why it's another thing you see a lot of players, new players do, is dodge into tackle zones when they're already in tackle zones. So remember that. You can always dodge out of tackle zones without penalty, but dodging from a tackle zone into other players' tackle zones is a bad idea because you get penalized for it. Alright, so I just knocked him down and he has a damage back. So why did that happen? That's something that a lot of people do not understand, but let's take a look. The armor value of the elf that I hurt, well, he's gone now, but most elves will have 7 armor. This is an exhibition game, so a lot of them have upgraded armor, and it depends on the player, but most elves have 7 or 8 armor. He apparently had 8 because he needed a 9+ to break his armor. So I rolled 2 d6s. That'll determine if the armor breaks. I rolled a 5 and a 4, which is a 9, so his armor did break because he only had 8 armor. So you roll higher than that armor value, and you break his armor. Makes sense. And then the injury roll takes place. Now let's take a look at the injury roll charts. So as you can see from the injury table, which is taken right from the Warhammer manual, the player rolls 2 d6s, and that determines what the injury is going to be. So if you roll a 2 through a 7, you are stunned, which means you just miss a turn, you can't get up or anything. If you roll an 8 or a 9, you're knocked out, which means you have to leave the field and go sit in the dugout area, and every time someone scores or it's halftime, you can roll a dice, and if you roll a 1 through a 3, you have to stay knocked out. If you roll a 4 through a 6, you get to come back into the game. So that's what being knocked out is. And then a casualty means you get to take a casualty roll. And so once you roll that casualty roll, you get to roll again for the casualty table on what casualty you're going to have. So how this works is it's a D68. So you roll a D6, and that gets multiplied by 10. So if you roll a 3, it's a 30. You roll a 5, it's a 50, etc. And then you roll the 8-sided die. So say you roll a 42. You have a groin strain. You miss the next game. Say you roll 15. You're just badly hurt. No long-term effects. Say you roll a 6 and you roll a 7. You're dead. And then there's all these other various ones like Smash Hip, where you lose movement speed. You lose armor value from Fractured Skull and Concussion. You could break your neck and lose agility. Smash Collarbone, you lose strength. A lot of these you just miss the next game. Niggling Injury means that it's going to continue onward. You're going to lose injury points, I guess. I think I went over this a little bit ago, but you have +1 to all your injury rolls, so you have a higher chance of getting injured and suffering more casualties. So that's not good, but I mean, it's not as bad as the other ones where you're dead or lose stat points. So that's how injuries work. I hope you understand that now, because I even learned a lot about injuries from doing this. Alright, so next up we're going to take a look at fouling, because everybody always is like, oh, you could foul him, or he could get fouled, and that's what the little boot here is. And that is trying to injure a player when they're already down. You get one of those per turn, but you have to be careful because you could get ejected. So we're going to foul this lineman right here. Bam! And you get assists per players around you, as long as they're not being guarded by a defender. So if a defender right here would take away my assist. But only 3 guys unguarded around him, so that's, I rolled a 1 and a 2, which is awful. And then +2 for the 2 assisting players fouling, that's a 5. Need a 9+ to break the armor. So had I rolled even a 7, I would have been able to break his armor, but I can't, and now I can't foul him again. So that's how fouling works. It's just trying to re-injure a player that's on the ground. And you can get ejected if you roll doubles, is what I believe it is. So if I would roll a 2 and a 2, my guy would have been ejected from either the half or the game. It's one of those, but you get ejected. So let's take a look at another foul. I have 4 players this time to assist, and I do break his armor and stun him. So as you can see, I had a 2 and a 4, so only a 6. But because I had 1, 2, 3, 4 players assisting my Underworld Goblin, who decided to be the one fouling, I did 10 and broke his armor, and it was good enough for a stun. But you never know, you could get some crazy stuff. So if you feel like risking it, and hopefully not getting ejected, fouling is pretty fun to do. And it annoys your opponent. So, yeah. Here's something you don't see every day, and that's passing the ball. So let's run this goblin down the field. Alright, goblin's going. He's like, wow, I'm running down the field. Now, the guy at the ball is Marok, and you are able to move and pass the ball in the same turn. So as you can see, if all this is +1. So if I throw it right now, I'm going to get a +1 to my pass. This area that he's in is a no modifier. If I throw it out here, he's going to get -1 to his pass and -2 out here, and then he can't even pass, like, out there. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to move up a little bit, make this a little easier for this goblin to catch it, and I'm going to throw it to him. And he caught it. So what happened there? Threw the ball. Let's take a look. He needed a 4+ for that pass because he has 3 agility. Again, passing and catching is all based on your agility as well. So agility, very good stat. You can pass, catch, and dodge. So great for your high point scoring players. He needed a 4+. He had a 3 +1 from quality pass is what I think that is. I am not extremely positive, but that's what it is. And you get a 4 from that. And then my dude that caught the ball, little goblin, he rolled a 3 +1 from the accurate pass, and that gives it a 4. Oh, herp derp, because he's in that zone that gives it a +1 from the quality pass, right? So if I would have thrown to him not in that zone that I just moved into, it would have been a failure. But Since it was an accurate pass, it also gave him a +1, so he caught the ball, and we're good to go. He can't move, though, because he already moved this turn. So that's the way passing works. So you always want to try to pass close and then a little farther away if you have to, because you're not going to get that modifier. If you have high agility players, though, like elves, then you're usually going to be pretty good off, or pretty well off. However, remember that your guy catching the ball also has to have high agility too. I know you might have a high agility guy and he might throw really well, but then your low agility guy might be awful at catching it. So remember that. So here we're going to go over the stats. So first off, we have level, which your players can level up. Then we have movement, so this is how many squares your player can move. So 6 for the Saurus, 8 for the Skinks. Strength is all about blocking, so we can talk more about that later, but the higher your strength, the better you are at blocking, pretty much. Agility is for passing, catching, and dodging, so if you want to see those in action, you can go watch those segments. And then armor value is all related to injuries, so if your armor breaks, you have a chance of getting injured. So if you have higher armor, it's harder to break that armor. Did I say that right? If you have higher armor, it's harder to break that armor, so you're less likely to get injured. So it's good to have high armor, and that's really the stats. Alright, so the match is over. We're going to take a look at the results screen. I know Lumen was confused by this, so I'm sure a lot of viewers were confused as well. Maybe even some other coaches. So we're going to take a look at the ending screen and talk about it. What does this all mean? So first off, each team gets winnings. The winning team gets to re-roll their winnings if they don't like it. So say you rolled a 1 and you only got like 10,000 gold, right? Obviously you want to re-roll that. Maybe you get a 5, you get 50,000 gold. And this gold is going to be used to buy more players, to buy more re-rolls, to buy apothecaries, all sorts of stuff. So you want to win a lot of gold at the end. I'd say if you get a 3 or under, I'd re-roll to try to get a 4+. That's just me. Maybe you only do it on a 2 or under. Just all depends. Then you also get 10,000 gold if you win or tie, and you get, I believe it's 10,000 more gold if you win the fan factor. So since I won the fan factor, I get the 1. He's got 0. I think it all ties into your fame. I'm not really sure how fame works, to be honest, but I think it's something to do with fan factor, and you win 10,000 more gold. So, because of that, I could have re-rolled this. I think I rolled like a 3 or a 4, but whatever. I'll take 50,000 gold. That works for me. And what else do we have here? We have ball possession, obviously how much they control the ball. We have occupation of own half versus opposition half. So I was in the opposing half of the field a lot. Then we can look at the team statistics. We got an MVP, we got a pass, a catch, an interception, 2 touchdowns, 5 tackles, 3 knockouts, 2 casualties, a death, 36-yard running, 36-yard passing, 1 tackle sustained, 3 knockouts sustained, 2 casualties sustained. So this is how many of my players took casualties and tackles and stuff. This is how many we caused. So we caused 2 casualties and a death. And as you can see, he sustained all those. And then I had all these statistics. So I had 2 touchdowns. That's 3 points per touchdown for the players that got those. I had an interception, so that's 2 points for my player that intercepted it. I had a catch. I don't think catches give any points, though. I had a pass, so that's 1 point for my player that passed it. And an MVP. Each team gets an MVP at the end of the game, which you can see up here. My MVP was Fiddick the Ratman. He had 2-star player points, which means he's going to get an additional 5, and he'll be able to level up. We also had Krethiel, and he has 6 points. He gets his next level in 10, so he'll be able to get to level 3 for the other team. The way it works is your first 6 points allow you to level up, and then is it... Oh, you know what? It might be in 10 points, so he might just be halfway to level 3. I think that's what it is. You need 16 points to hit the next level. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So he needs 5 more points still. Then we can look at player statistics. That kind of just shows what we already went over. You can see which players got those passes, interceptions. You can just scroll over this and it'll show you what it is. So as you can see, my Tweekit got the pass, And interception. He got a pass and an interception because he's awesome. Fitz's caused the death. He also caused a knockout. So he got 2 star player points for that. Block sustained. You know, so you just kind of look over all that. You can break it down by your team, their team. Replay. I don't really know how that works. I kind of avoid looking at it. Characteristics. Oh, here you can even break it down further. So you can see the characteristics of your teams. What happened to them. So this guy died for the other team. Not good for them. And, you know, really it's not too difficult to understand all this. But that's the ending screen. So now we're going to talk about skill ups, improvements, whatever you want to call them. Leveling up, really. And that's what your star player points get you. So your first 6 points on a player allow you to level up. And then 16 after that, like we said. So yes, I want to level up. How does that work? I have 2 players that can level up right now. I got Snurak and I got Fiddick. One's a lineman, one's a goblin. So to level them up, I just double click on them. And he has animosity as his only skill, which is bad. That's a negative skill you don't want because he doesn't get along with goblins very well because of it. And we click move up level. And what happens is a roll takes place. We got a 4 and a 3, that's a 7. So what we're going to do is take a look at the improvement roll table that I'm going to put on the screen right now. And as you can see, if you roll a 2 through a 9, you get a new skill. So obviously you always get a new skill. But if you get a 10, you can increase the player's movement or armor value characteristic, or get a new skill. You get an 11, you can increase their agility by 1. You get a 12, you can increase their strength by 1. So really you want to get 10, 11, and 12s, because those are very good to increase stat points. Those are always better than skills. Remember that. You always want stat points, because those are going to affect you just all the time. They're, ugh. But we didn't get that. We just got a skill, and we get to choose our skill now. So depending on what your player is, whether he's like a catcher or a passer, they get to choose from specific skill sets. So my guy, as you can see over here, there's agility, passing, general strength skills, mutations. Because my guys have the access to mutations, it allows for some mutation skills that other players wouldn't normally get. Otherwise, you can get general skills, but those are also good, such as block. And you have to pick. But if I had rolled doubles, if you roll doubles, you get to pick from any of the skill sets. So if you would have rolled if I would have rolled a 4 and a 4, I would have got to pick from strength skills, agility skills, passing skills. So really, you can pick from any of the skills if you roll doubles. So you want to roll doubles so you can do that. But if not, then you just kind of got to pick from whatever it gives you. So let's go over some of these skills. What do they do? Why are there so many of them? We can't go over all of them because that's too many. But I'm going to go over some of the ones that are used a lot. We have strip ball, which is if you get I can't talk today. If you get a pushed or a defender stumbles, you will cause the player holding the ball to drop the ball. So it's good for your blitzers or your attacking players to go after the ball and pretty much get a fumble caused on 3 out of the 5 blocking results. So you have a very high chance of knocking that ball out. We also have pass block. I haven't seen that too much. Let's see. Block is one of the best ones. You always want to get block. A player with block is proficient at knocking opponents down. So if you get the both down result, it negates it. So say you have both down, or you have both down. Yeah, say you have both down and you get, oh my god, I just said it again. Say you have block and you get a both down result and your opponent doesn't have block. You can click that. Your guy will stay standing and his guy will fall down. So having block and getting them both down is practically as good as getting defender down. That's why block is so good, and that's why you really want it. Then you get fend. I don't really see a lot of fends. Frenzy is if you get a pushed or defender stumbles, then you get to attack again right after. You have to attack again right after. So sometimes maybe you get a double defender pushed, and you push them, and then you get to roll again. You get a defender down, so you knock him down. That's really good. Other times, you get that, and then you get attacker downs, and your guy falls down. So Frenzy it's kind of a bittersweet thing. Tackle is nice because it gets rid of dodge, so if you get a defender stumbles and you knock a guy over that has dodge, normally he wouldn't fall down, but with tackle, he will fall down. So tackle is very good. Also, opposing players who are standing in any of this player's tackle zones are not allowed to use their dodge skill if they attempt to dodge out. So players with the dodge skill get to re-roll their dodge roll if they fail to dodge out. Tackle gets rid of that, and it's just like, hey, you can't do that, because, yeah. Also, we got sure hands, so a player with sure hands can re-roll the d6 if he fails to pick up the ball. Good for your guy that likes to pick up the ball, obviously. Your ball carrier. Kick is nice to have because it reduces the scatter of the ball. So say you want to have a guy that's kicking the ball very precisely. So you say, you know what, I want to kick the ball up in the right corner away from all his players. With kick, it makes that a lot more possible because it reduces the scatter of the ball that we talked about earlier. So it's nice to give one player kick after maybe they got a few, maybe they already leveled up once and you get them kick as their second skill, or you get a guy just dedicated as your kicker. Wrestle is also an interesting ability because here, we're going to read it. The player is specifically trained in grappling techniques and may use wrestle when he blocks or is blocked and a both down result on the block dice is chosen. Instead of applying the both down result, so both your players falling down, both players are wrestled to the ground and are placed prone in their respective squares even if one or both have the block skill. So wrestle just makes it so if a both down happens, you both just kind of fall down and you're both just laying there, and you can get up the next turn. So that's what wrestle does. That's a nice way to negate the both down and block players. Mutations are interesting because they give you, obviously, weird mutations, but, for example, you get horns on your head. You grow horns randomly, and it adds 1 to any blitzing player. So that's really nice. You have to be blitzing to use that, though. Very long legs. Player is allowed to add 1 to the d6 roll whenever he attempts to intercept or uses the leap skill. And the safe throw skill may not be used to affect any interception rolls made by this player. Prehensile tail is nice because it subtracts 1 from the dice roll if anyone attempts to dodge out around you. So you get, that's what I had on my Lizard Ditka guy in the last league. So I just put him around a bunch of people, and they tried to dodge away from him, and they got -1 on all their dodge rolls. So bam, they'd fall down. So, I mean, you can go through, you can read all these abilities. There's a lot of skills, which is why I don't want to go over all of them. But the basic ones you really want are block and dodge. Those are really good skills. If you don't know what to get, I would get block and dodge. And I'm going to get block for this guy. And there we go. Now we'll take a look at our other player that can level up, the Goblin. And we'll level him up. He gets a 4 and a 2, so I just get to pick a skill. But he, instead of getting general skills, you can see over here, he gets agility because he's so small. So some of the agility skills are catch. So if someone throws him a pass, he gets to re-roll it if he dropped the catch. You get sprint, which makes it so you can go for an extra go for it square. Normally you can only do 2. If you have sprint, you can do 3. There's leap, sneaky get. Sneaky get's fun because he's... Let me make sure. During an action, the skill is not ejected for rolling doubles. Yeah. So he's not ejected unless he actually injures someone and rolls doubles. So that's really nice if you want someone to be a fouler and just foul everyone. Sidestep. So if someone pushes you or knocks you down, you choose which square you get pushed or knocked down to. Fun fact about that, I had sidestep on Lil Skittles. I was on my... or on the opponent's 1 yard line, and Angry Joe pushed me, and he tried to push me away from the end zone, but I had sidestep, so I just sidestep into the end zone. So it's got some interesting uses, and Sure Feet makes it so you can reroll go for it rolls. So really, you can try to get some bonus squares quite often because you can reroll them for free with Sure Feet. But you can also do mutations if you have the ability. So my guys all have the ability to do mutations. If you're somebody like humans, you can't get mutations. It just depends on your race. So that's how skill ups work. You can go through, you can pick whichever ones you like or sound the best for you, and yeah. And that's it for this Blood Bowl guide. I hope you learned a lot, or a little bit. I hope you just learned something, or I hope it made the game more fun for you, or helped you understand it a bit more so that it can make it more fun. So go forth and play the Blood Bowl. Okay? Okay. Boo.